Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Today I've got my buddies Dain and Sam here joining us from Chicago. They first jumped on, I'm like, are you guys in a rehab right now? If you're watching right now, you see that they're in an office that's framed out. This actually is their office they're remodeling. And they're like, this is the quietest room we have in our office right now. So we're going to be talking about kind of what's working now, what's changed over the past year. A lot of people's cheese has been moved over the past year or two. And these guys have made a transformation as well, crushing it right now. And we're going to be talking about kind of what's working now in different departments of the business. So what's up, guys? How are you doing?
Doing well, Mike. Yourself?
Absolutely.
I'm good. All good here. Excited to see you guys. So
likewise.
So maybe kind of high level. Let's kind of jump in. What do you guys want to tell us a little bit about your background of your business in Chicago?
Sure. So we Sam and I actually met over a cold call 4 years ago. Got started in the wholesaling business. We figured that was the quickest way in. This was early COVID. We started the business on like those Trump checks that were coming out at the beginning. Every dollar was going back into Google Sheets and then going into data and then going into marketing. And we've just really been fortunate to build the business over time. And now we're this year is actually the start of our 5th year of business. And I come from a tech background, so I was working in tech, doing a lot of like go-to-market stuff, sales enablement, sales management, individual contributor roles. And Sam comes from a construction background, doing union concrete. And so when we got on the phone, I remember like it was yesterday, I was pacing my apartment. We probably talked for like 3 or 4 hours. I probably got 10,000 steps in that day, just talking to Sam on the phone. So that's kind of a little bit about our background. And now we're built a team, and we got about 6 or 7 people in the office, 3 on AC. 1 dispo, 1 transaction coordinator, and we're actually looking to add another 3. So pretty exciting.
Cool. So we're going to talk a little about what's working now for you guys specifically. So let's talk a little bit about what you've done differently. I know you guys have made some changes, some things that we talked about here a little bit ago from an operational standpoint. And some of it is like a business maturity thing, right? You get to a point and you're hustling hard and you realize that I can't hustle any harder. So how are we going to do this differently? So talk about what's going on from an operations standpoint.
Right then.
Yeah, so operationally, we were grinding every single day. As every, I think, like early entrepreneur does, regardless of your vertical. And we were making cold calls and doing all this, and it got to the point where it was like, Sam and I can only produce so many millions now. So we can only produce so much money before, like, we just don't have time. Like, we're constrained by the other needs of the business. And so I think this really... Like we knew it dawned on us in 2023, and I think in 2024 we became really impressionable about the importance of team building and hiring right. We hired wrong a lot, and not to say that we brought on bad people or I think just as
maturity of the business.
Yeah, and as partners and as founders, we were kind of like, all right, how do we do this? Like, what do we look for? Oh, we bring somebody great on, but they don't have the right training, so we can't get the optimal amount of production out of them because they didn't have good guideposts. And I think learning, failing as a partner in the business, like failing as quickly as we can, has been super helpful. And from an operational piece, I think what we've realized is we need to step back and stop being individual contributors and more focus on how do we build out the ancillary pieces of the business, training, and just like everything from running comps to sales process. Like, how do we really dial that in so that the people coming in, not only do they feel like, man, this place really has it together, but they also feel empowered by the amount of information they have, and they feel the liberty to be able to fail, which has really changed our business. And we're seeing it. We had one of our best hires, his name is Andrew. He's no real estate experience, started 4 months ago, and is doing 5-figure months. And a lot of that has come because
That's an acquisitions role.
that's an acquisitions role. Yeah.
Yeah. So was he in sales? Just kind of curious, because people always say, well, where do you hire acquisition managers? So did he have a sales background of some other sort, or?
He was actually selling season tickets for the Washington Nationals at one point or another, and that was a sales experience he had in regards to sales.
Yeah.
But no real estate sales. So we found them 3 ways. Andrew came to us via referral. So, and this is something that Sam and I have been doing, like get out to all of your local events. Like we try to go to 2 events a week where we can go out and just find people. A new hire we actually just brought on, we found at an event. Andrew was a referral. Juliana came through a recruiter that utilized his network. And, we are also reaching out to people on LinkedIn, get the Navigator subscription, and every message is a custom message. But you have to treat recruiting the same way that you treat your sales funnel, right? Like for the seller. So
there's no perfect way to actually, find an individual. It's like, you just have to go, like anything else in real estate is go out hunting and see, see where you find the perfect catch, right? Like there's no dead set place, in my opinion.
It's the same for buying houses, though, right? You got a lot of channels. You never know where the deal's going to come through. You just have to cast a wider net. It's interesting. So would you guys say improving the probably SOPs and processes and stuff like that has allowed you to attract better talent?
That and pay, right? I mean, obviously, or compensation and pay. Like it's, at one point when we first started, Mike, we were like paying out 15% of the assignment fee to individuals that were here, but it was no salary, right? And then we started a 36K base plus 7.5 pay on commissions out of the net profit. So I think it depends on all. It all depends on the actual phase of your company, where you're at in regards to being able to provide either pay structure plus commission and or, when we first started, everything was in-house and we were cold calling in-house. We were, paying out up the wazoo. And then it's like, we finally got to the point where we're able to step back, hunker down, put a salary in place, and then actually pay commissions based on where we're at as a company. So that plays a big factor.
Yeah. So you've got kind of a base in place. Would you say, and I'm harping on this because I think that's one of the biggest problems that real estate investors have is being good at recruiting a team. We're often good at hiring people, but we're really good at hiring the wrong people, right? We just like, that guy could probably figure it out. Or we're like, hey, my buddy's brother needs a job, and he used to sell shoes at Payless, so I think he'll be good in acquisitions. Like we just find all these reasons to be able to check the box, but not necessarily, the right people. And honestly, historically, I think probably you guys too, I know I have, is like I don't do a good job of training or setting people. I'm really kind of setting them up for failure, honestly, because I have had the mentality like, hey, man, I had to figure it out. But it's like, but it's my business. Like they just want a job, right? And so you don't really want to recruit the entrepreneurial mind. You want to recruit more of the person that wants to be a part of a team and is happy with not having to deal with the stuff that owners have to deal with, but you have to relieve them of having to deal with those things as well, right?
Go ahead, Sam.
I think we found a good balance from a standpoint where you're hiring an individual that does want to be an employee but has the mindset of an owner, right? And that doesn't necessarily constitute him taking the brunt of the work that we as owners will initially take, but he does care enough to figure out that extra step that needs to happen to get something done. And that goes a long way, right? I mean, when you have an individual that actually has that mindset, it gives you the comfort and the confidence to say, I know in our case for our transaction coordinator, Alex will get this done. He'll take a step above and beyond to accomplish the mission at hand, right?
Yeah.
And it plays well to your team building and the confidence you have as an owner to actually delegate and release the reins of transaction coordinated, of talking to title, talking to attorneys. It gives you the ability to focus on something else with the confidence that things are going to get done.
Yeah, that's great. And I think, the more you build out your team, if you can make it feel more like a team instead of a bunch of individual contributors that, I think you guys are building out your office there. But I know one of the problems with, and I have a pretty good sized virtual team too, but we, from a business maturity standpoint, over the past few years, we've done a much better job of having town halls, pulling people together, having group like benefits, like group like goals. If we hit this as a company, we're going to go to Cabo, like all these things that historically I just didn't do because we're just, transactional thinking instead of like, look, I'm at a place now in my business where if it ain't fun, I don't want to do it. So I've got to like bring people along with me that are having fun too. Otherwise they don't want to work here, There's a lot of places you can go work.
Can you have fun while you work is a question.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it too is like and at least where we're at, and again, this may be a maturity thing. Like maybe we're not mature enough, or maybe we are mature enough. But I think a lot of the way that we're pitching, the people that are coming in is like, hey, listen, we want you to be an entrepreneur. We want you to come in. We want you to think like by the time we want to be the last people that you ever have to work for. And so if we can equip you with that skill set so that you can go out in the world and go make money and do things on your own, like we've done our jobs, right? Like if we're producing people that are continuously going out and making money, then, we're doing the right thing, because that means while they're here, like we're both winning. We're they're performing, they're empowered. They're like, wow, these people really want to equip me with the tools to win, which builds a loyalty into our culture, which is really great. But again, it kind of like sets back to like, this is why team building is just so mission critical, is because you're constantly going to need to be able to build the team. And those who want to stick around will stick around because like they have developed something really nice, and the growth opportunities are endless, because it's like, hey, if you see an opportunity, write a job description, tell us why it's beneficial, and like, run with it.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about you have a lot of virtual team members. How does that work, right? In regards to production, holding them accountable. I mean, obviously KPIs and metrics is one big factor, but like how do you keep that camaraderie of a team if everybody's in,
Yeah. I think it's, there have been times where if I'm managing people that are, overseas or just virtual, not here, that I would have a lot of like one-on-ones, like we're meeting with them, and we tend to do more stuff as a team now. Like I used to like have people come to me for any little thing they need. So I'm kind of getting, if they were in my office, it was like somebody knocking on the door like, hey, you got a second? You got a second? You got a second? And it's super inefficient for me, right? And then even online, people would just Slack all day long. They're just like sending me Slack messages. I'm like, I'm getting like Slack to death, And so I was like, look, going forward, if it's urgent, like get a hold of me. Here's a couple ways to get a hold of me. But if it's not, I'm going to have office hours meetings a couple times a week. It's just an open Slack because people are here and they join from my office. They might join on a Slack huddle or even virtually. They just all come in at the same time. And I'm just like, hey, let's just, you go, what questions do you have? And we just kind of knock out everybody's at the same time. But yeah, I think it's, I didn't used to include my team in like the goal setting process for like my annual goals and stuff. And now I need them there because I need them to be accountable to those goals. Like if you just say, well, those are your goals, like that's not my goal, that's not good. So like I'm asking people now like, hey, maybe here's what I'd like to do. Can you tell me how we get there? Are you guys on board with this? Is everybody committed to this goal? And kind of get the buy-in of the whole team to kind of do those things. So probably just doing a lot more as a group instead of individual conversations with salespeople or an operations person. And we just, and instead of them coming to me and saying, hey, this person's not doing what they're supposed to do, I'm like, look, don't bring me any problems. You guys figure it out and work together, So just things like that. I think just having team-based goals, tracking the KPIs for sure, way better as to like what people are supposed to do. And I think especially for virtual assistant types is helping them. It's really easy to give them a set of tasks, like this is your job, this is what you're supposed to do. And then they have blinders on to like how this fits into the bigger picture, is like making sure that people understand like this is your role and here's how it impacts like all these other people in our business and our customers and everything, right? So it's just making sure that everybody understands the big picture of what's going on. So I don't know. I'm not perfect, but it definitely is an evolutionary process, you know?
Yeah, I think none of us are perfect. I mean, it's a fail forward, learn as you go situation.
Yeah.
Everybody makes it seem on Instagram and everywhere else in between. It's like everything is perfect. Like, man, that's one
No,
thing
it's not.
we
Yeah.
came to realize that nothing's perfect.
Those guys are liars. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about exit strategy. I know you guys have evolved in this kind of down market here to do more creative finance things. And like, what's been your biggest, without necessarily kind of diving into every exit strategy, like what's probably the biggest change or evolutionary, or maybe it's different thinking or whatever that's kind of changed over the past couple of years?
Step up on that one.
Yeah, Mike. Honestly, I can definitely speak for our company because I've consistently heard it's a downturn, the market's down. I think we've had the best 2 years as a company, the last
Yeah,
two
that's great.
previous years, where I'm hearing everybody say, "Hey, this has been the worst time for us." Like we've actually tried and true mailing, right? And again, check mailers. Obviously, you get soft offers, call. That's been our tried and true marketing channel as far as making the company grow exponentially. Dain, when we first started the mailers, right, it was a lot different than us cold calling. So I think that exit strategy right there for us, that marketing channel for us has given us the ability to step into wholesale, right? A wholesale exit. That's predominantly what we exit out of these properties with is the wholesale. Like we implemented novations. We understand novations very well, the Brewer method with Eric Brewer. Also, we've done some sub twos. We exit out of properties. Sorry, we do fix and flips as well, but we do it a little bit different in regards to us not being in the project management or the general contractor's role. We'll source the deal, hand it off to another company. They will essentially take care of all materials and labor. Since we get these properties at a discount, we have the ability to split the profit after offset expenses. So that's a bit hands off the fix and flip model that we've used.
Yeah.
Wholesale's also been nice. Like we've done a great job.
Wholesale,
Like generating private lenders who will come in, foot the bill. So rather than using hard money where we're going to get nickel and dimed with points and origination fees and all this other stuff, we have a private lender come in, cost plus closing cost, then relist it. We're actually doing that right now. And again, that helps us kind of develop a little bit of a private money market where you can have people put their money to work. You show them what you've done, the underwriting, how long it's going to take, raise it, buy it, clean it out, relist it. And the turnaround times on that is 30 to 90 days. So again, it buys you a ton of credibility in the short term. It also allows you to line up private lenders. So when we do have bigger projects down the line, we're going to be able to tap them and say, hey, listen, we want to let you guys in on something that we've been working on. And it kind of creates this FOMO, like, oh, these guys got working on something special. I'm the first one that's going to get access to it.
Yeah, so these are more of like wholesale deals, you're saying? You're just cleaning them up and listing them?
Yeah, taking them down with somebody else's money, cleaning them out, and then relisting them on the MLS.
But we also have the ability to purchase as well through Kiavi. I know they are part of the Investor Fuel community, and we've actually purchased, fixed up, and sold properties through that hard money line. And again, it all depends on where you're at as a business and a business owner, right? Like not everybody has the ability to use hard money on the initial, start of a wholesaling company or whatever it is that they're doing. So, it's all dependent on the maturity of your business and where you're at with capital. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how about from a marketing standpoint? So I think when we first met, you guys were primarily just cold calling. And I know you just talked about mail, obviously, but you're doing a lot more. There's generally been a trend of people that were kind of doing more outbound marketing to more inbound because, one, as an owner, it's way easier to execute and scale, right? And two, the profits are higher and the leads are better too, right? So, but let's talk about how you've changed that over the past couple of years.
Yeah, so started cold calling. It was a purely outbound operation. Flipped over. Once we turned the mailers on, we were able to transition to an inbound model. And since then, we went mailers, and then we shout out to Jick and Nosh, Nick and Josh, who kind of helped us wrap our head around the PPC space. So we started doing PPC.
We're also doing cold calling with Lama Sulit, Scott Morris. Shout out Scott Morris.
That's right.
I don't know if you've connected with him, Mike, but solid dude. He's super sharp and runs a tight ship out there with his cold calling companies.
And then we just started TV with the guys over at 10X. So
Yeah.
we kind of have like a land, air, and sea approach. We're really kind of hitting them in this little ecosystem with mailers, cold calls, TV, and then when they go to search us online, they get hit with a retargeting ad. So that's we've really seen when they say all ships go up with rising tides. It's something like that. Yeah. But that's what we've seen on our sales floors. We've seen a lot of people call in and say, "Oh, I saw you here, and I had your mailer for a couple of years," or "Hey, I looked you guys up, and then I saw you guys on TV," or "You guys keep sending me these mailers. I've probably gotten 40 of them from you. I finally decided to give you guys a call."
Yep.
So the key to the marketing is obviously diversification across channels, but also consistency. And we actually just started we have a little AI project in the making right now that's going to allow us to utilize AI to start generating leads at scale. And so, again, super exciting, something we're kind of working on, but until it's fleshed out.
Yeah, awesome.
Park it.
Awesome. So what advice would you give to guys that, like you said, there's a broad swath of people that have struggled a lot over the past couple of years. And I've seen those. We have quite a few people in Investor Fuel that are having their best years ever. What would you say has, and I have some opinions on, who's done well and who hasn't, but maybe I'll share that after you guys tell us your secrets. Like, what kind of secrets do you have, or what advice would you give to people that have kind of struggled about getting their ship righted and having, some of the best years of your business life, not just kind of, how do you not just survive, but how do you thrive?
Here, and this is my opinion, Mike, and I learned this a long time ago when I first went to an event out in Arizona. Shout out to Carlos Reyes. He made an impactful statement that stuck with me and is still with me, right? People, data, and speed. We like I think our results come from, honestly, Mike, it's the skip trading services that we're using and the data that we have, right? We're using IDI core, and then we're using authentic data that's predictive, that, in my opinion, gives us that slight edge, and that's all you need in this space, right? If you have that slight edge over, another company or over another, individual wholesaling, that to me is obviously going to give you the results that you're looking for, right? Because if you have bad data, you're not going to get a hold of anybody. If you have, data that everybody else has, then guess what? You're fishing in the same pond that everybody else is. So, in my opinion, it's data and skip tracing, right? You got to talk to people you got to talk to the right people in order to get results.
Yeah, cool. And if you guys want a little bit more of an edge, we could talk to you again about Investor Machine.
That's how we ended up meeting, right? Huh? That's how we ended up meeting initially.
Yeah. So cool, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate you being on the show today.
Yep.
Thanks for having us on.
And I wish you guys all the best as you kind of get this year off the ground, finish up your office there, build out your team. And guys, if you're interested in contacting, learning more about Dain and Sam, we're going to have their contact information right down in the show notes here. But appreciate you guys spending some time with me today.
Likewise, Mike.
Thanks.
Everybody, we'll see you on the next show. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.